there are a lot of challenges, man. I mean, you work for a couple different companies, right, in a couple different positions.
A couple of bankruptcies.
Right, a couple bankruptcies. I mean, there were some weird times there, but it again, it's to the resiliency, concept. All of those things, when you come out the other side, you're stronger and you're equipped and prepared for the next thing. And you talked about kind of stepping back and looking at it from the 30,000 foot view. Now it puts you in a position to go, look, I've seen this, I've seen where this goes. I can kind of anticipate a few things. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to focus on the things that are outside of my control, right? And so here's the things that I can't control. I can still, be first in, last out, and make that productive, and still, and maybe be better at balancing life, and work and all those things. But also understanding that sometimes things get out of whack, and that's just how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. So things got a little out of whack there. I mean, you take over this VP role of fitness for one of the world's largest fitness companies. We'll talk about how large that thing really is. I mean, from a brand perspective. Well, we'll come back to that. So you take this role as the VP of fitness, and then immediately get punched in the side of the head with shutdowns and COVID shutdowns. Yeah. And now you've got all the staff underneath you, right? Who you've earned your way there, right? And you've done it because of all the things that you've said. Hey, we've got all the staff, got this entire company that we've got to deal with, and you're kind of the guy, right? Mm-hmm. Walking into a really a very difficult situation as a leader. There's some tough conversations that need to be had. Mm-hmm. What was the toughest part about that for you? Knowing that what was imminent, and that was, we're going to have to shut clubs down. These employees do not have jobs anymore, effectively right now. Mm-hmm. What was the toughest part about all that?
So it's interesting because the timeline of where things were moving, I took the global position February of 2020. Mm-hmm. So right before this is going down. So at that point it was weird because then my relationship with the people is going to change, right? I've just recently stepped out of their org chart, but then a lot of people are calling you, right? So then it's this added layer of complexity where I'm having to answer questions and I'm not your direct report. So I'm going to give perspective, but I can't speak, for someone else. But again, I think, here was a benefit because of my style and who I've always been, which is going to be, I'm going to shoot you straight. There's not going to be a whole lot of fluff here. It's going to be, it is what it is. Take it or leave it.
That has it's a double-edged
sword. Yeah, it certainly, and a lot of times it's going to have blowback. But like in this case, the people that were reaching out to me going, hey, what's happening? What's going on? I'm like, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. And there's not going to be sugarcoating. Right. Like I could try to make nice out of this, but like, we're going to close the gyms. We're still going to have to pay rent. We've got loans that are out there that we've got to pay. And it's either and again, no, people couldn't see this,
right?
But it was like, hey, chances are if we don't do what we're about to do, furlough, stuff like that, we won't make it out the other side of this. Like 24 closed in their bankruptcy, closed over 120 gyms. Mm-hmm. Gold's in their bankruptcy closed. There was so many companies that had to file bankruptcy where we were as a company with, again, like you said, like the logo kind of shines. And at the time provided the perception of a much bigger footprint than we really had at that point. And we had 14 gyms. That we owned and operated. We've got the international franchise was starting, but there wasn't a lot of gyms. Domestic franchise is a mixed bag, obviously. Mm-hmm. A lot of our franchisees didn't make it through COVID. But had we not done that, well, then it's either, hey guys, either we furlough people and it's going to not taste good and it's going to be messy, but we'll survive and there'll be a business on the other end of this, or we don't furlough anybody and we stick our head in the sand and then we'll just cease to exist in a year.
Right. It's self-preservation mode. I mean, that's what everybody had to go into. And maybe some people are still feeling like they're in that, to some extent. But of course, employees are calling like, what's going to happen with my paycheck? Because They have loans.
Yeah.
They have they have mortgages. They have car payments they got to make.
It literally just went to, okay, here's how you file this. And again, that's where like our HR team did a really good job. It was constantly peppering people with like, here's where you can get aid. Here's where you can get more money. Here's where you can get benefits.
Right.
And constantly just giving people that. And then, this doesn't work for like the membership sales guys and stuff like that. But for the trainers, it was like, look, hit up your clients.
Figure out a way. Yeah.
Go train them in the park until the gym opens.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you, you can't train your clients at the park when the gym is closed. Like, go train your clients at the park.
Yeah, that's the whole, look, we have to figure out a way through this. And it is a little bit of self-preservation mode. Now, be smart about this, and get out there and do the right thing. Take care of your clients and get paid that way, the best way you can. We'll find a way out the other end, because there were no solutions, right, at that point.
And us understanding now, you're not going to get some of those people back.
Correct.
Like, because some of those guys are going to figure out, like, oh, well, like,
you mean the coaches?
Some of the coaches, you're not going to get them back. Yeah. They're like, hey, I'm going to stay private. And the gym's opened up. And the flip side was, okay, you're not going to get some of your best people back because there's a lifespan in being a coach, and some people stay in a big box forever, but some of them, they graduate. You've accelerated their graduation.
Sure.
But you also got an opportunity where, hey, if you had some knuckleheads that you are going to have to navigate the world of human resources and document, now you don't have to. Don't bring them back.
Right.
So you're going to lose some of these people, but you also get to kind of wipe the slate clean. We told people when we were reopening, bring back the people you want to start with. Mm-hmm. This is your opportunity.
Start with a clean slate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can look at it that way, as an opportunity with a clean slate, or you could look at it as
oh, this sucks.
Yeah, and it did. Let's be honest. Like, you're starting over.
You're right. Like, both things can be true at the same time. Yeah. Yes, this sucks. And it's an opportunity to start
it's interesting, as I don't know that. I mean, I think looking at the bigger picture and all the different types of businesses out there, in California particularly, obviously the gyms were hit very, very hard. Globally, gyms were hit very hard, but with this, and for good reason, I think, we needed to make some decisions collectively to try and figure things out, and where it went from there is another conversation, altogether. I think it's still rooted in a lot of ignorance and I think the fire's being fueled by, alternate agendas, when what we should be worried about is our collective health. And again, a conversation for a different time, but just coming back to the people and bringing your coaches and your people back in. I think other companies didn't suffer that way. What they had to figure out was other businesses had to figure out how are they going to operate from home, particularly in the Silicon Valley. I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. At worst, some of these companies were mildly inconvenienced, and so are their employees.
Yeah.
Mildly inconvenienced. And certainly while we're dealing with the depths of what a virus and a pandemic can bring to the table, from a business perspective, you're dealing with logistics right now. That's the worst thing you're dealing with. And
our supply chains are messed up.
Yeah. And okay, well, we'll work that out, and they have been worked out. Well, currently things are a little bit different in the last 6 or 8 months. They've certainly changed a little bit. But the point of that is you've got other businesses out there, and there were some particular ones, and obviously the gyms, both big and small, were being impacted by this. And so, you had an opportunity to kind of recalibrate and still move in the same direction, but in a different kind of way with a different staff. But it's definitely been a slowdown where it took before 3 to 6 months for a new trainer to kind of build, or a new coach, or even some practitioner within the club to build their business. Now it's taking longer as people are a little bit more hesitant to come back. Obviously, the volume of people didn't come back the way we'd hoped it had come. I mean, clubs are writing record numbers in terms of membership sales, during the summer this year, but we're just recapturing kind of what we had.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's you had some huge months, but those were just members that are finally like, okay, I'm coming back.
But you're still behind revenue from previous years and so forth. On the whole,
the membership bases are, I would say, we're still down about. We're probably down a full 30%. We've upticked a little bit, but you're still down 20-25% of your member bases, and traffic. Check-ins are probably still 70% of what they were. So revenue is going to be lower.
So you're getting these calls, and people are having to navigate, and obviously you're meeting with the collective team, the executive team, just going, hey, here's what we're dealing with. How can I be of assistance? And everybody's taking on a larger role, whether you're the CEO.
Now you're skeleton crew.
Yeah, you are having a lot of conversations you wouldn't typically be having in a very different way, and trying to figure out how to get to the other side, as you said, and still have a business and make it worthwhile. But now you're in this all of a sudden in this global VP of
talk about a
role.
crash course,
right?
In like I'm trying to
So now you're getting calls from like Dubai and Taiwan and wherever
as I'm so I'm assisting with some of the domestic franchise stuff, right? And okay, where can you get small business loans and stuff like that? And then I'm trying to find out, okay, in other countries so that I can assist those franchisees. Okay, in Russia, like what kind of assistance is there, right? In Mexico,
there's no handbook for this.
Yeah, there's not like I'm just going into rabbit holes in Google trying to figure out like, hey, like have you guys looked into like this,
program or whatever.
And then you've got other countries where, everything was just on lockdown and it's like, okay, there's no mortgage, there's no rent, and everybody just stay at home. Okay, well, you guys don't need to do anything.